Danger Dolan. Today we count down 10 of the best villains from World of Warcraft. I will not be mentioning heroes in this list, nor Warlords of Draenor alternate reality characters. This is a countdown of the bad guys, starting with number 10.
Energy. Power. My people are addicted to it. A dependence made manifest after the Sunwell was destroyed.
So Kael'thas was once a senior member of the Kirin Tor. He was also the Prince of Quel'th the Last, but after Arthas destroyed it, Kael and the Blood Elves turned to Illidan and the Naga for help. Once they made Outland their home, Kael'thas used the Tempest Keep as a way to sate his magical addiction, but he was ultimately stopped by heroes of the Horde and Alliance. In Magis's Terrace, he returned in a new, sickly, pale, almost undead form to summon and kill Jaden through the Sunwell, but it was here he met his permanent demise.
My demise accomplishes nothing! The Master will have you! You will drown in your own blood! The world shall burn!
And now moving on to number 9.
You dare breach our inner sanctum?
Unbelievers! Heretics! Burn! Burn!
You cross a threshold from which there is no return.
Burn! Burn! The heretics will burn!
We have a comment here from MG Iron Man. I must be the only one crazy enough to think Ner'zhul is a great villain. He's been around since Warcraft 2 as Gul'dan's right hand. He's the leader of a cult trying to serve the will of the old gods. And he has a great menacing model and voice acting. You'd have to read all the extended lore to know how many times people have tried to kill him, or that he almost killed Medan, which is unfortunate because none of that is addressed in WoW. Ner'zhul was one of the first Ogre Magi, a member of the Shadow Council in Draenor, the right-hand man to Gul'dan. But after Gul'dan was torn to shreds in the Tomb of Sargeras, Ner'zhul fled to Kargath, where the old gods warped his body into something ungodly. When Deathwing returned during the Cataclysm, Ner'zhul joined the Twilight's Hammer clan to usher in the Hour of Twilight, basically the end of the world, but he was ultimately struck down by the forces of Azeroth. There is a very high chance, however, that he will return in the alternate reality Draenor.
Brothers of the Hammer, to me!
The will is still their own!
The unbelievers still stand! Destroy them!
Crush their bodies! Crush their will!
And now let's move on to number 8.
You have no idea what horrors lie ahead. You have seen nothing. The frozen heart of Natsaramas awaits you.
So Kel'Thuzad, once upon a time he was a mage of the Kirin Tor, but secretly he began the Cult of the Damned, designed to turn Lordaeron into a scourge town. However, he was struck down by the paladin Arthas, but then he was resurrected at the Sunwell as a lich by his killer turned death knight, Arthas. But then, when Arthas fled to Northrend, Kel'Thuzad stayed behind aboard the floating necropolis Naxxramas in the Plaguelands, until heroes of Azeroth defeated him. He then moved the necropolis to Dragonblight in Northrend, but he was defeated by the damn heroes of Azeroth once again. It is unknown whether he remains dead at this point, or simply biding his time, as his last lines imply that he is not yet dead.
Do not rejoice. Your victory is a hollow one, for I shall return with powers beyond your imagining.
And now let's move on to number 7.
Your soul shall suffer!
Now we have a comment from Mr. Biscuit. Gul'dan definitely belongs here. Throughout all of his life, all he wanted was power. He betrayed his brethren at their hour of need, causing the first war to be lost. His thirst for power aligned him with Sargeras. He created the first Death Knights too. Even after his power trip killed him in the Tomb of Sargeras, his skull continued to influence events, transforming Illidan into a demon. So Gul'dan was originally an orc shaman from Draenor at a time when their species was peaceful. Gul'dan abandoned shamanism and turned to the demon lord Kil'jaeden along with the art of necromancy. He became the founder and master of the Shadow Council, and it was he that was responsible for the original Death Knights using corpses from the fallen Stormwind. He was informed of the location of the Tomb of Sargeras and the powers within, but when he arrived, crazed demons tore him and his clan to shreds, ending his bitter life with an equally bitter death.
So many possibilities.
And now we move on to number 6. Sargeras was the creator and leader of the Burning Legion. He's always been the primary go-to all-powerful bad guy for WoW. He was once a titan who are the gods of the Warcraft universe, but he fell to darkness and he created the Burning Legion with their primary goal to wipe out all life in the universe. His army nearly managed to take over Azeroth when the Highborn Night Elves summoned them, but they were stopped by the current Heroes of Azeroth 10,000 years ago. And one time-traveling orc, Broxagar, actually managed to hurt Sargeras using a legendary weapon, the only known mortal to do so. Following this, Sargeras was cast into limbo and has not been heard from since, but if he finds a way back, you can bet he's going to mess up the face of Azeroth. And now we move on to number 5.
I am Deathwing, the Destroyer, the end of all things. Inevitable, indomitable, I am the Cataclysm!
And we have a comment here from Thumpasaurus Rex. Deathwing, he nearly broke the world with the power of an epic hissy fit, fathered Onyxia and Neltharion, corrupted the entire Black Dragon flight, and has Ragnaros as a lackey. So Deathwing was one of the 5 dragon aspects meant to guard Azeroth. Suffice to say, he failed his task. He originally masqueraded as Lord Daval Prestor to fool the Alliance, but then he retreated to Deepherm after a while. He returned and caused the Cataclysm, changing Azeroth as we know it. His goal? To bring about the Hour of Twilight, the end of life, alongside minions of old gods. But thanks to some nifty time travel, grabbing the Dragon Soul from the past, Thrall and the other dragon aspects defeated Deathwing at the Maelstrom.
You have done nothing! I will tear your world apart!
But now we move on to number 4.
Welcome. You are here to join us in the coming celebration? No. A pity.
Queen Azshara was the beloved ruler of Kaldorei, or Highborn, during the Well of Eternity days 10,000 years preceding the events of WoW. She was corrupted with dreams of power by Sargeras, but after her defeat at the Well of Eternity by the Night Elves, she and her Highborn were sent to the bottom of the sea, where old gods transformed her race into the Naga. It's currently unknown where she is today, or what she's up to. Her story has long been hinted at as the basis for a future expansion, one that I personally hope to see.
Enough. As much as I adore playing hostess, I have more pressing matters to attend to.
And now we move on to number 3.
Anger, hatred, fear. They are weapons of war. The tools of a war chief.
We have another comment also by Thumpasaurus Rex. Garrosh Hellscream almost destroyed the Vale of Eternal Blossoms, killed Cairn Bloodhoof in a pretty dishonorable fashion, and tried to conquer Pandaria using genocide as his main weapon. Oh, and he's tried killing Thrall multiple times. So Garrosh Hellscream grew up on Draenor, ashamed of his father Grom Hellscream, and how he doomed their race by drinking demon blood. But after Thrall showed up and told of his redemption, Garrosh became a fearsome leader, even leading a successful campaign in Northrend and Borean Tundra. Thrall handed leadership of the Horde to Garrosh, but that turned into a terrible choice. Garrosh had a terrible thirst for power, and it caused a lot of death and destruction. Garrosh was eventually dethroned from Orgrimmar, but he fled to the alternate reality Draenor, currently AWOL, still unpunished for his war crimes.
Behold! My glorious destiny!
And now moving on to number 2.
Yes. I can feel the raw power of the Well of Eternity! It is time to end this charade!
Illidan's Stormrage, the twin brother of Malfurion, secretly loved Tyrande. At one point 10,000 years ago, he was a gifted sorcerer, but his pursuit of power had him commit horrible acts against his own people and family. He defected to the Legion, and he created a second Well of Eternity. For this, he was imprisoned for 10,000 years until the Third War, when he was released by Malfurion and Tyrande. But his thirst for power had not ended. He absorbed the Skull of Gul'dan and was banished. He ended up on Outland with Kael'thas and Lady Vashj, where they attempted to destroy the Lich King in the name of Kil'jaeden. Once they failed, heroes stormed Outland and killed Illidan at the top of his Black Temple, but his story is not over yet, as Blizzard have every intention on bringing him back to life. It's just a matter of how and when.
You are not prepared!
And now an honourable mention for one of the deadliest bosses in WoW. It's claimed more lives than any other raid boss alive. It takes on many forms, in many areas. It even appears outside instances to continue its rampaging genocide. Its name alone causes a shiver of fear in small children. It is the Elevator Boss. But now let's move on to number 1.
You have crossed into the world of the dead in search of answers. You wish to save your ally, and have risked life and limb to be here. Allow me to help.
So the original Lich King was born when Kil'jaeden ripped Ner'zhul, the Orc Shaman's soul, and planted it in armor, then thrust it to Icecrown Glacier. Arthas, the fallen prince of Lordaeron, was deceived into tracking down Frostmourne the Blade to become Ner'zhul's chief Death Knight. When Illidan attacked Icecrown, Ner'zhul summoned Arthas to the Citadel to put on the armor and fuse with him to form the new Lich King. For a long time he watched over the Scourge until the events of Wrath saw him defeated by the Burning Crusade alongside Heroes of Azeroth, until Bolvar Fordragon put on the helm to become the new Lich King. But the true number 1 villain is Arthas. His story is one of betrayal and murder, one of the more interesting and deep storylines in Warcraft that everyone seems to love. That is it for this top 10 list. If you'd like to suggest another top 10, head on over to reddit.com/r/thediddyguides. Have a good one.